Talk Radio. If you've just joined me, where have you been? I'm Nana Akua. It's time now for the Great British Debate this hour. And I'm asking, should Nigel Farage return to frontline politics? Whilst Thursday night was undoubtedly a huge triumph for Labour as the party overturned two large Conservative majorities to win the Wellingborough and Kingswood by-elections, there was also a strong showing from Reform UK, who finished a clear third in both of those seats. And amongst those to hail the party's performance was GB News presenter and Reform UK's honorary president, Nigel Farage, who said that Thursday was the day the party came of age. He also dropped the biggest hint yet that he will return to frontline politics to lead Reform UK's general election campaign, with polling suggesting that the party would receive a significant boost in the polls if he were to do so. He is even facing calls from some activists to run for Parliament again, possibly in Clacton, in Essex, where polling suggests that he would win. So for the Great British Debate this hour, I'm asking, should Nigel Farage return to frontline politics? Well, joining me to discuss, former Labour Minister for Europe, Lettice Bromovsky, political commentators Lettice Bromovsky and Conor Tomlinson, and Reform UK's parliamentary candidate for Wellingborough, Ben Habib. Right, well, Ben Habib, I'm going to start with you. Ben Habib, what do you think?
Well, just on the election, by the way, I don't think it was a massive win for Labour. Labour's vote, in terms of number of votes cast for Labour, didn't really go up from the general election. Admittedly, the turnout was lower, so proportionally they got a higher vote, obviously. But the real story from there are two stories from the by-elections. The first is that the Conservative vote absolutely collapsed. A complete reversal of the 2019 support that the country gave Boris Johnson, a recognition in the country that the Conservative government has completely failed, and an endorsement of basically the values that Boris promised to deliver but didn't, for Reform UK, you know, where small c Conservative, lower taxation, lower regulation.
Oh, we've lost you, Ben. You've gone you've frozen on us. You've frozen on us, Ben. Well, I hope we come back to you because I've listened to all that. Conor Tomlinson.
Yeah, well, I think that Nigel Farage is probably the most eligible candidate to take over our deracinated political circumstances following the next election. I mean, both major parties are promising the same brand of tepid managerial neoliberalism, just with a slightly different coat of paint on the party. And Nigel Farage has gotten all the big calls right, from Brexit to mass migration to COVID to the like. And the interesting thing that's happening at the moment that not a lot of people have put their finger on is Liz Truss's PopCon announcement. Now, most people saw it and thought, oh, blimey, we've already got the 5 families that are infighting. We've already got the One Nation Tories. Do we really need another vehicle for this? As Nigel said at the event, he's not going to be joining it. However, if the Tory party is cleared out at the next election, including lots of cabinet ministers like Gillian Keegan and Penny Mordaunt and Jeremy Hunt, the old Cameroonian vanguard are gone, but Liz Truss remains. Liz Truss is the most likely person with a vendetta against the existing party because they staged a coup and made her the shortest sitting prime minister in history. If anyone's going to allow Nigel Farage to cannibalise the Conservative Party and capture it and actually drag it to the right, it's going to be Liz Truss. So I wouldn't be shocked if Nigel takes up her offer and assimilates a lot of the successful Reform UK candidates into whatever Liz wants to create to stop Michael Gove steering the Tory party again.
No. Do you think so, Conor? Let's go back to Ben Habib. We've got Ben back now. Ben, you carry on with what you were saying, because I was transfixed with it.
Yeah, so I don't know where I dropped off, but I think the big victory over the last couple of by-elections has been for Reform UK, you know, which championed the policies that Boris Johnson effectively promised the country but then failed to deliver. Small c conservatism, lower taxes, deregulation, genuinely ejecting the EU from the United Kingdom, British interests first, closing our borders down to illegal migration, dramatically reducing migration. These are all policies for Reform UK, and those are the policies to which the electorate in the last couple of days positively responded. It wasn't an outstanding vote for Labour. Labour came through merely because it got what it normally gets. It was the Conservative vote that sent the message. And Reform UK is on the ascendancy. Reform UK is now, as Nigel said, come of age. We have established ourselves not just in the pollings, but actually in the electorate. We're delivering. In fact, Wellingborough, we got more than what the national polls were indicating we would get.
Well,
so
yeah,
we're feeling very, very confident. And we've done all of this. I know the debate's about Nigel. We've done all of this without Nigel as part of the party. Of course, there's a soft support from Nigel, but one thing I say to people is, however great Nigel is, however fantastic he is as a politician, for a genuine political movement to sustain itself, it has to have breadth and it has to have depth. It's got to go beyond one person. So I'm really encouraged
beyond one person, Ben, I'm going to have to bring in Dennis McShane. Hold on a sec. Dennis McShane, because he's shaking his head as you're saying things. He's doing all sorts of facial expressions.
He can't be possibly shaking his head at what I'm saying. Impossible.
What's going on? Let's find out. What's he saying? Dennis McShane.
Well, very simply, first of all, big congratulations to Ben. We've debated often in these studios. You've been out there on the doorstep. You found out what it's like, and 9 out of 10 voters in the 2 constituencies didn't go for your Reform Party. They didn't go for the Conservative Party, which has dragged Britain to the right, especially in the last few years, with disastrous consequences for health, for policing, for our armed services, for waiting times for operations, unless you're a monarch. We're in a desperate state as a nation, and people, I think, are showing again and again they want Sunak to go. And I was asked to talk about Nigel. Let me make it clear, I like Nigel. He's been kind to me when I was in some trouble. I like him, I admire him, I enjoy his wonderful sort of comic opera appearances at the European Parliament or in Question Time. But at the end of the day, the British people have been given the chance 7 times to elect him to Parliament, and they've just said, no, we love you as, big cheese, I'm a celebrity, get me out of the jungle. But deciding our taxes, how our kids are treated, our road policies, our defence, policing, security, health policies. Sorry, Nigel, you entertain us, and let's have, if you like, boring, if you like tepid, choose whatever adjective you want, but sensible politicians who understand, because they're there all the time in their constituencies.
Listen, you said you like him because he's helped you. Now, I would stop there if I were you. Lettice.
Yeah, I think I do agree with a lot of that. Like, Nigel Farage has had these 7 opportunities, whereas right now he's got this platform, he's got this influence on his GB News shows. And a lot of this political gain is around influence. I mean, just last year, the New Statesman named him as the most influential person on the right at the moment. This is a man who's never actually even been in politics. And I don't understand, I don't believe he should latch his sort of boat, so to speak, to a political party, which, even going by the most positive polls at the moment, might not even win a seat at the next election.
All right, well, listen, thank you for your thoughts. All right, so I'm going to ask you all one at a time whether you think Nigel Farage should return to frontline politics. Dennis McShane, should Nigel return?
For the sake of Nigel, no.
Really? He says no. Lettice Bromovsky, should he return?
No.
No. Really? Conor Tomlinson, should Nigel Farage return?
Whether you like it or not, he will.
Yeah? You think? Who will he return for, in your view? You think
he'll snap up something.
Something. He'll snap out something. Reform or Conservatives? You think he's likely to go to Conservatives?
I think he'll allow Reform to cannibalise the Conservative infrastructure.
OK. And Ben Habib, should he return, yes or no?
Nigel is already in politics. He never left it. The fact that we're having this debate proves it. But as far as Reform UK is concerned, we're going to succeed with or without Nigel. We'd love to have Nigel actively in frontline politics with us, but we are going to succeed. We will break the first past the post system. We're going to do it. We're here for the long term. We're not doing any deals with any parties.
Political broadcast, Ben. So should Nigel return to frontline politics, though? That's at the front of it all. He's behind it quietly. He's making moves and shapes, but he's not at the front. Yes or no? Final to you.
That's a decision for him.
Right, OK. Well, listen, thank you so much to former Dennis McShane, former Labour Minister for Europe, also Lettice Bromovsky, political commentator, Conor Tomlinson, political commentator, and Ben Habib, parliamentary candidate for Wellingborough and Reform UK. Thank you so much for your thoughts.